Kwaniriza ku Baba TV, Neno TV obashabazinga, Neno program the platform ona kulabalaza, ena kudomwezi diri 13 na kudomwezi diri 13 omwezi guno ogw'omukaaga omwaka 2022 nenda kwebaza iwe atwegeseku mu program eno nakwesusa makonde kwisatu ni sugo lukia mpoza okuva ku ssaawa dino eina paka essaawa mukaaga ogw'okunkya okwona kuluno olwaleero tudda kusobola okuba ate nga tuwaya ku nsonga ediweraku onaku olwaleero tulijja kuba ate twogera ku mbalirira ey'eggwanga erijja okusomebwa onaku olw'enkyo enkyo enaku mwezi guno ogw'omukaaga paalamenti ey'endala erijja akola ensonga ejiweebwa obukumu mu issemateeka babise budget gye tujja okuba ate nga tutambuliraku mu mwaka guno sente 2023 wewanga jena oyali alikwogera ku mbeera ediriwo mu Uganda nkani State of the Nation address yatukoba nti we tunaaba ate nga tuli bisembalirira ensonga edisigalire ndadogeraku so tuli bayikiriza ino ntudda kuba ate nga tuwulira okuva yali tulingira ni minisita w'ebyempiya ayazikwaku obuyinza okuva ye pulezidenti okuba ate nga atubalira tulijatambula tutya already bali amaze otukobera nti emisoro tirijja kuba ate nga gitoolebwawo obuli emisoro ku bintu ebyo bye tutandikiraku era president yaseta nti it is suicidal ekigambo suicidal iwe mwene niwe oba niwe obaise osobola okuba ate nga wesuula mu muguwa osobola okwesuula mu nnanda oba weewa obutwa nekyo kigambo suicidal so eiganga twandiwe tuli kwesuula mu maadi tunaaba tuli kwesuula mu motoka tunaaba tuli kwesuula mu muguwa okusala ku misolo gy'ebintu ebikolebwa wano mu Uganda aye nga ebibikolebwaku n'ebikolebwa bivanda wa Uganda okutolaku ebyebikolebwa wano munda mu Uganda wano erya Uganda nga Uganda esobola okwetolera wano yasobola okuba ate nga ebikola PPS wa Minister of Finance Ramadhan Gobi, one of the economists betulina mu Uganda ino erya Uganda yatusubiza yatukoba nti mwezi ogw'omusanvu gwe tulitandika iddo ly'abalamu wano mu maisaawo emiwendo egy'ebintu ebiri basic sabuni sukaali bwito ndowooza n'emmere bidda kusobola okuba ate nga biise nga wazira science kyefaananizaako okuzaalibwa kwa Yesu Kristo nti omuwala atadde musaada yafuna olubuto yamaliriza nga azaire nga science oyo wotasobola kuba ate nga omwinono PPS zena nti wentategeera science ajja kuyisa bintu aye nga wendi nti ndimwikiriza nsigala nga ndimwikiriza mu studios ninamwe abakugu ku nsonga bino abalingirira ensonga nga bweditambula ate nga ensonga ed'ebyenfuna baditegeera ino nga nkaliba wakaganya bakulamuseeku kubanga tunatandikirawo tunaba twinaime Ministry y'ebyendegeresa ng'ekulembebwa mu Janet Kataha Museveni mu Kembuga poliisi y'eggwanga lino erya Uganda n'ebitongole ebikola okunoonyereza binaima okunoonyereza ku isomero erya Lubiri lino erikolebwaku nti lyapangisa ebbaasi okuva ku isomero erya Midland baamaliriza nga abaana bali bakujja mu mwoleso ogwafundikibwa mu kibuga eky'Idinda nga beekoze ebitawoomera maiso obuli ku bantu ife otulinamu okwensa mu society omwogezi wa police Fred Nango onakolwaleero amaze yatukoba nti poliisi ekakaisa nti essomero lya Lubiri neryapangisa emmotoka eyo okuva ku essomero lya Midland enumambo ino nga obutambi bungi nga buli omu yeegaana of course mu bizinensi ebyo bibaawo ezira muntu ayenda bizinensi ye bagikube ku busa but it is very unfortunate nga nze wano ni omukubiriza wa program endo I condemn ebikolwa ebifaana bityo erimu abaana n'abasomesa we mubanga ate awo ndowooza nti n'akaire tusobola okuba ate nga twetaamu ensa Bone Kagaba is an economist and is a lecturer ku MUBS asomesa byanfuna tukwaniriza ku Baba TV lamusa kubali tubona tutandikirawo
abali kutubona ku Baba TV tubeyanza mwebale kubayo mwebale kutega TV ya Baba era nga Samu wakobye amaina ninze Bone Kagaba nga nsomesa ku Makerere University Business School era babala mu isaino
tweyanziza
bali kutega program nga tugezako obona ekirijja mu maiso encho mu kyetwalese budget okutunulira ku pre-budget analysis solalo ni Sam. Those ones watching us, thank you so much, and also Baba TV, thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks so much. Dr. Shironde is not so much a visitor here. Tubaire naye musawo mukugu aye ensonga kabiri naditegeera oba oli awo kabiri n'okwenda osingako abana byabufuzi odi twashonoona nti aba discussing eno the national importance bano abana byabufuzi. Dr. tukwaniriza yes sir. Tukweyanziza nenda tutandikire wene awo mandate yewe ba parliament tibali kikola lwa kubanga babaire balina okikola. It is constitution. Parliament neiwanga tubaga budget nga mumaka gaife bwe tunakoba nti omukyala akuteerawo olukalala lw'ebintu ebiri kwetaagisibwa nti wiiki eno tujagula kino era omusaada wateeka nti esente debakuterewa okwenda emitwalo 2 ng'omukazi ayidi bulungi nti owezaamu 5 wakusaba ku 2 shida kubeera kyangu. Uganda tukakola budget nga tulingirira ku nsonga efaanana etyo oba tukola budget kunumirwa? Kagaba nsose okuwa example ey'amaka nti omukazi akola budget nga asinziira ku nfunayo ngaidi nti wanaakusaba ku 2 olinamu 5 oida asigazaawo.
Okay, neyanza sa budget bantu bagikola era neiwanga nga Uganda likasobola okola budget apart from being a national a constitutional mandate to draw the budget, but the budget is something that guides what can I say, it guides the expenditure. So there is no way we shall refute the fact that the government is not able to draw a budget and maybe remain in the lines of what can I say, the cultures of the budget. So example jo waire ni jetuli jo kulinga ko lwalero budget ni chi Samu okutandika ne bintu okuwandika ebintu byoli jo ku spendinga ku aye wata wengeri joli jo funa mu sente okubi spendinga. So chetuli kulingira olwaido nti government yetaire wochi okuba nti ejatola mu sente to fund its priorities, to fund its programs and other projects. Aye era budget yetagisa because tulina national development plan ngensi abandi bayina okukitegeera of course waliwo national development plan 1, national development plan 2, now we have national development plan 3. Ate twabanga tuli mu kyetwalese of course tulina foreign actors and foreign friends abatuwa ku ebintu ebindi. For example tuli mu mawanga ga East Africa, tuli ba member ba African Union, tuli ba member ba United Nations. So bolingirira sustainable development goals, walingirira national programs, walingirira regional agenda programs data go kuba financed. So with the National Development Plan, National Development Planning Authority or National Planning Authority, ekola development plan yajiwa government ekola budgets, financing ebintu. So we still have the fact that we should believe in government and also to work budget to one meant to jiringem. So precisely it's what we are waiting for. Era tebasobola cooperating anga wazira budget. Era wenanga bwoli.
Katono ino. Doctor, aina ensonga gyayogere ku jenebuuza. Nze mmaka omukyala mpa budget nga nina esente. Era awandi nkuba nti Baba TV yampaire omusaala. Era nkuba nti priority daife nga tuli spendinga tukole tuti. amawanga awandi tukola budgeting nga tukalina afuna esente enkola eyo esobola okyuka oba ekyo werina okuba
njagala tusooke tudde ku makaago osobola okutuula ne mukyalawo temukola budget naye budget eyo gye mukoze eneebajja we muli in simple terms awo wooli onoosobola okufuuka omusajja eyeegombesa abantu b'okukyalo bw'aba mukyalawo asobola okutuula naawe ne mukola budget abantu b'okukyalo ne beegomba amakaago bene budget eyo ekugasa era abantu abamu mu bufumbo batandika bulungi nga babudgetinga nga bw'okiraba then ne batuuka ekiseera omusajja n'agamba oba omukyala n'agamba lwaki nti budget eyo omusajja ayinza okuba ku kakadde kafuna ayagala kunywako omwenge gwa $300
ngate omukyala takyagala
ngate omukyala agamba no
era ng'akiraba nga si priority mu maka
it is not priority omusajja ayinza okugamba nze njagalako essuuti ya $800 naye abaana balina okunywa abaana balina okwambala so obuzibu bwa ate omusajja ayinza okugeza omukyala ayinza okugamba kana akayumba tekatumala tugende mu nnyumba ennene naye ng'ennyumba ennene gyagenzeemu ya $40 oba $5 naye ng'omusajja afuna kakadde okiwulidde
ye ng'omukyala agamba owakakadde wentuyakaana
wano Uganda kye tulina ne bwe tunakola zi budget ezenkana zitya eziri flowery eziri beautiful nga system gye tutambuliramu nkyamu nga institutions zitambula nga bwe zitambula ezo zi budget zitumalira biseera for example toyinza kuŋŋamba in a budget nti okozesa $7 in governance and legislation n'ogamba 1.2 trillion egenda ku agriculture and development. That is in a nutshell stupid.
Kati tuweke ekyokulabirako bwe tuba tuli mu maka
ogambye nti governance mubaka tukiteekeko otya nti nze omusajja ow'amaka nina okugula amawulire nina okutegeera ebyebweru nze omusajja ow'amaka nina okulaba nga nti ndabika bulungi nina akagatta akalungi kati kwegamba omwami ow'amaka n'otwala $800 okulabika obulungi okuba omumanyi elsewhere anti gwe head of the house okiwulire this is exactly what we are doing amongi nafuna kabenza akayitirivu we are in governance we are pushing money in governance omusajja ow'awaka alina okwambala akasokisi ak'ebbeeyi naye nga abaana bo ne pampa teziriiwo okiwulire nga n'ebyokulya tebiriiwo okiraba this is exactly what we are doing governance etwala so much money
so we tuba tuli mu maka tuteeka sente nyingi mu masuuti
mutuwazi ati omusajja ow'awaka yenna nnyini nnyumba yakola ye tulina omuteekamu $80,000. That is in the simple logic nga ye budget yaffe ye Uganda
tugenda
kati ate bw'omala okugamba nti 20% egenda mu kulya n'okunoonya ebyokulya awaka then n'ogamba mwe mulina okuvaako ezo ennyumba kwezo kwe kulina okuvaako ezisasula landiroodi ate landiroodi n'ogamba omusajja taata ayambala masuuti alina okusituka ave mu nnyumba enyirira
era ndirodi atereze enjuzi
now kino kyetugenda nti the government ekugamba nti ate ku ssente ezo 12 trillion 12 trillion egenda mu bank,
domestic borrowing
ezije mu bank. Now the moment the government starts competing with individuals to borrow that money, babanka nabo bajja kugenda ew'omuntu anasasula, tebagenda kugenda w'omuntu atali musasuzi. Because gwe oyina ebizibu, oyinza okugenda China ebintu ne biganira ku nnyanja, oyinza okugenda China n'obireeta ne bitatunda, naye ye eri assured government ejja kukutulugunya ekugende mu revenue authority esasula amabanja gaayo.
So nga tugenda mu segmentation eya location, njagadde tutandike n'amaka omuntu ali atulaba baba akitegeere. Amaka gano Uganda wegabanga omukyala ye parliament, omwami ye government, batuula bakola budget. Olabanga budget eyo gye bakola ekyusa ku maka, amaka gatuliiranye ne gatwegomba oba Doctor?
Kansooke njogere ku mukyala oyo. Omukyala oyo ayagala nnyo bba, nti mu kwagala ennyo bba yasiruwala. Nti tayamba bba okudevelopinga, naye bba buli kyayogera, buli bba kyaleeta
kyakkiriza
oba kya butumbaavu. Kakuwa example eya coffee. State yajjawo cooperative union, Abanauganda bali wekunganyiza ne balima emmwanyi zaabwe ne bazideeta.
Omu wano yagamba nti abantu baali beewolawola nga bamu bali corrupt, sovola bazaagu. It's not state.
No, abantu nze ng'omusawo nkimanyi nti abantu abalina ekizibu ku bwongo bangi mu Uganda bangi. Tomubala bantu kubyambala masuti n'olowooza abantu bategeera nnyo. Now abantu we baali beorganizingira batunde ebyamaguzi byabwe, it has been proven world over, kebe China, kebe India, ezensi ez'abaavu ennyo zitambulira ku cooperatives. Okiwulidde? Now nebe zideveloping ate zimanyi Uganda, kati ongamba ati Uganda cooperatives zatuzze mabega. Nomala okuyuza cooperative, nomala okuyuza organized economy, then nelukera ku macha n'ogamba Pineti oyo ajja kutunda emmwanyi zaffe bulungi. And the parliament just sits. Mu nsi eziri developed, they can pass a vote of no confidence in the presidency. Then what has the parliament said? They've kept mum.
Parliament yakola, Doctor.
Yakola ki?
Tonenya parliament. Parliament yatilisi yakola ekyayo.
Yakola ki?
If you credit parliament mu nsonga eyo, I credit it. As a person. Okunyonyola kugenda kubeera kuwanvu. Kankomewo nako. Kasamu mwesigwa program the platform. Olunaku luno olwaleero tuli kulingirira ku mbalirira ey'omwaka 2022-2023. Mu studios muno ninamu Bone Kagaba is an economist and a lecturer of economics ku Makerere Business School MOBS. Nina Dr. Robert Chironde musawo mukugu ankobye nti twegenderezenga eno abantu aboogera statements ed'endawulo bayinza okubanga balalu kubanga Uganda abantu basinga balalu. Musawo mukugu so aida kuba atenga wetunaba tuvire wano ndaja ankebere kuzena ntaba mbalalu ngebisere bisinga ndogera statement yayenga I'm out of conscious. Mr. Msefexo se tuanze tusoke tukusigire ekifaananyi ali kubona baba mu maka gaawo budget y'olunaku olwaidu bw'oba ku mulimo gwongo ofuna emitwalo 2 olunaku mukazi wo taida kubalira budget ya mitwalo 10 kubanga ezira dindi wojaditola welenga tukoba nti anda kwewolayo obanga asobola ng'olina obusobozi obwewola omutwalo ng'olisuubira nti mwesigwa wanaabanga ali kubita wano ndamwemereza mpeeyi 15,000 ekitegeeza mujakola budget ya mitwalo 2.5 olinawo omutwalo ojja kwewolayo omutwalo mulande 1.5 Uganda tutiwe tutambula wegaba maka tutiwe tutambula oba baba afuna emitwalo 10 aye nga tukola budget ya mitwalo 5 bon Dr. ina wankobi wakobye nti omukyala asobola okwenda nga yena byayenda omwami tabyenda oba omwami yayenda nga n'omukyala tabyenda nga ye buli omukyayenda they are luxuries they are not necessities awe tuli kujja for quite long mu Uganda wano ebintu ebisinga atwala ekimege kinene ekyesente governance and legislation security human capital development infrastructure a case in point engudo tuditamu innocent buli mu budget nebindi nti mugande ku mateeka Uganda getwataako omukono tulina ebintu bye tweyikirizaganya okubitaako at least a certain percentage is health tukaali tuukawo titutuukanga kukuna mu kitundu kya percentage Doctor, is it 13%? Is it 12%? Osege. Allocation yedo de tukola. Abadikola nga bali kwenda balina mu interest. Ifaba bibona nifaba tabitegeera. Bye batamu twali tuboine kunga bikolebwa. Looking at the recent budget before tulingirire bine biri kwita. Only observation.
Okay, my observation is some tulina osigira abantu ekifaananyi ekya budget y'ensi eno basooke bakitegeere nti budget gye bali gy'obiseido mukulu Kasaija n'abasaada be ya obutabalika 48.1 trillions kwedo no ekyokobye nti kikakola amakulu okola budget before okuyita ku kibuuzo kyo my observation about the budget entirely tulijja kwewola. Okay, domestic revenue mobilization, taxes, government mwejotola sente, fines and what byetola mu sente dirijaba trilioni 25 trillion from domestic revenue emisolo tulijja kwewola domestically we are going to borrow 12 trillion
nti delayed source
ab'ekitongole
kya Uganda Revenue Authority balina okusoloza obutabalika 25.
Exactly. That's what Dr. Chabera aliko nti ng'omusaada ni doli jokola oleete doli sure okusinzira ku budget gye mutegeke nga family you're going to bring 25 trillion plus some billions there. We shall see the statistics tomorrow, but that is the range. Mwedo because the 48 trillion, that's your entire budget. You're getting your assurance 25. You're borrowing domestically. Tidikumala the do wategeka as a budget olikwenda 12 trillion domestically because the government can also borrow domestically okuva mu banks.
Mugandi kubata nebo. Niba wala baja kwogera niba koli mu baiwe.
Exactly.
Bakwongere ku esente.
Wewole
ezo abakozi abatunda ennyanya aba taxi aba boda abani bonna be bagenda zireeta ogenda batulugunya bazirete
batulugunya doctor kwezeze ekigambo ekikanga
walabye ekidde ekikiri ku makubu kati sitekansonga gejja kuba taxi sente ngebakuba ne fine million 5 okuba kuyita kutulugunya
so kati then tugende wabweru twewole 7 trillion external borrowing then batuweeyo ku sente ng'abagabi b'obuyambi donations 2 trillion then waliwo kye bayita revolving fund government egenda funamu around 3 billion bano ab'emyogo abatwalako sente okumyawo UDB be yawolako government mwejja sente entonotono endala what we call revolving fund around 3 billion. So that means that now a cent is only sure to finance the budget, 48 trillion. You are even again having another deficit. But you're going to start spending. Aliye yali kutubona, ayino kutegera nti, ni budget jetu wakoze, there are sectors that are underfunded. Always sent obutabanga dimala. Now, there is now a lot of effect, or there are so many effects kweche into some. So, but when you get a budget...
Tulisoma budget.
Exactly.
I need you are edited to recover that 25
We have not yet collected that money because the financial year starts 1st July. but we are reading the budget tomorrow. So kati ekido nikyagamba nti kati bagenda tekawo ebidonga any mistake on the road, they give you a fine to go to UDTB and pay so that government collects money. So now Sam, after getting all that, that's now the revenue, because now that the budget, kati bagenda soma budget and twagambye nti budget kwe kutegeka byogenda okuspendinga ne sente zolina. Now you're going now to start spending, and Dr. Bino byebita musanyusa, of course nange, and this is my observation. You can't say nti agriculture ogenda gitekamu 1 trillion.
Ngate employing 90% of our
almost everyone is in agriculture, which is okay. Kati bagifunide ni bagita agro-industrialization. Now, Sam, you're starting now to spend on legislation.
But agriculture nga tukalimu vako. There is another assumption. Agriculture inzo okuba direct yetulija allocating la sente ntono. But agriculture erina mu programs detutaire mu sente. Currently tube tukali ku but let's still tukaliva tubelenga ni NADS, operation with creation, what now to part development model. Sente tudiri ku direct did mu agriculture, but under agriculture waliwo sente did mu programs.
Yeah, Sam, that is
yeah,
actually this is also an acknowledgement to Minister of Finance before you, Doctor. Nti bava kushebeta sector allocation budgeting or sector allocation budgeting actually to what we call program based budgeting. Until now we budget and fund an event or a particular event in a certain MDA or in ministry and government agency, instead of the other side the time they were saying this time we need to give this percentage to this ministry. So if you don't have a program or a project, so I credit Minister of Finance on that. But the point I was making is that Sam, you are, of course, that internal borrowing of 12 trillion is going to crowd out the private sector because banks are very confident lending government. You get so government we're borrowing is the best confident borrower that banks have.
Out jatu kau.
Yes sir.
Doctor, as if over in a comment
now if you're going to get 12 trillion government is borrowing, commercial banks zigenda gana okuborrow.
That is domestic borrowing.
Domestic borrowing. Zigenda gana okuleninga favor bakifenyere boga because business can fail. Now, a Jackson Oliroli aina ability esasula. That is one. Two, interest good government wenega okolachi okuleninga. Ate government tesizza amasanyalaze
gwegokozesa
genkozesa amasanyalaze gali haya dani mu Kenya gwe tutunza amasanyalaze no mu Tanzania gwe tutunza amasanyalaze
era president yakibanyonnyola kimu ngenda bajjukiza
ajattojjukiza
agamba amasanyalaze gakyali high because we still have a debt we pay gakyali mikono gyabo by investors abateeka mu sente.
You see some
but he had a ecological call okusala amasanyalaze.
Now
okimanyi nti amasanyalaze gatundibwa ku nusu 9 ate production cost eri ku nusu 2.5
ey'amasanyalaze.
Production cost eri ku nusu 2.5
mu Bujagali to Karuma
yenga agatunda ku nusu 9 obubbi naawe. Now nyagala tutegeere gane nti enva bo salawo ogane banks era bananga nambagama mulekera akwewola. Stop it. Stop
it is
okwewola mukyasula mu yourselves in stress. Lwaki tojja kuŋŋamba nti interest rates ziri so high amafuta gali high amasanyalaze gali high
inflation generally
eri to the roof gojja okole business ebere successful.
Not all business can fail. There's
now
a
let me tell you,
can
the most successful businesses mintinga sente mu country eno buli omu zabeera assured zireeta sente gemasomero n'amalwaliro. But by the end of last year, how many schools and hospitals were being sold? How many? Because in the Katikankubulire, omutojo amanyi
enkuba gyetonye
bo nendagenda mu ddwaliro ly'amannyo eddwaliro ly'amannyo bwe liba terikozesezza facilities nga bwe zirina kali gino kena akasanyalaze erinnyo liveemu omuntu bw'aba akozesezza sente nyingi nnyo nusu 10 erinnyo nerigwa wali bw'aba takoberedde ethical standards and so many people out there are not following ethical standards they just nusu kozesa nusu 10 erinnyo nasabayo lye emitwalo 2 now ezo olaba sente ofunirawo but I am telling you people are selling hospitals, people are selling clinics
because of poor management.
Era bonna poor managers tata.
You see,
so tumalize ensonga ya Dr. then to down ensonga gyobadde kugamba
abatuuza amasomero era all of them are poor managers.
Ensonga gyobadde kubadde ogamba nti mu mbeera eno omuntu teyeewola kubanga amabanja azegagenda kwekolinga business.
You see, tojja kugasasula even the big businessmen nga ham bakola underhand using courts babitature they are not paying. Jukira bitature yafuna loans ezobusente obutono but bitature has failed to pay because the business here is bad. Mutunulire bahamu, mutunulire babitature, they are bright, they know how to make business, but gwetoina ability enyola lendawo mu koti. Gwechicho inokola chibuke.
Bali bagano
because no togenda ku borrowing because environment ya business budget yonnanga bebagisoma for the last maybe 10 to 12 years it is just killing business
according to Dr. Shirondi.
Point jembadde njogerako wagambye watyo waliwo point esinga okumalamu amaanyi saamu abatuuliriza enkyakye balina osuubira mu budget ya Minister of Finance kwezo zetugenda okunoonya essente za URA zetwewoze bweru era zigenda kusasula 16% zigenda kusasula ate amabanja gali getwewola amakadde ng'ogyeko sector allocation tetugambye
externally internally
both because now debt financing omuntu akubanja nowebweru nakola ki nakubanja so if you're going to spend
and you're paying interest
so yes if you're spending around 12 trillion on debt financing because that is how it's going to be. The projection is that government is now going to say now they call debt servicing. They are going to service debt out of the 48 trillion, 12 trillions are going to go to service the debt, to pay the debt. But again, that means you're going to borrow and then to pay the debt. And some, if that's how Dr. Ngawagambi what Dukanya family ate weewola ate okusasula amabanja oba okyali mu buzibu bw'amaanyi.
But remember, you people, two of you, I want to remind you the kind of the country we are in.
Remind us.
Dr. Kilonde may be a Kenyan, Bone may be a Rwandi. Now for me, a Ugandan, let me remind you, Uganda is a developing country.
Yeah.
And a developing country, ebintu bitasobola kwewala. Nsonga joli ukomeyo kuservicing amabanda. Remember the case ya Entebbe Airport and the Chinese and Exim Bank what?
You see some.
Why do you look at it as now luxury in service?
It is not luxury. I'm just showing you the danger that it will have on the economy. How? Because if you're borrowing again to pay the debt, but you are having scavengers, for lack of a better word, or you are going to have people who are going to steal again this money if it's in the treasury or whatever it will be allocated. We don't even yes, they're going to start to fund their budget to a tune of almost 25%, almost half of it is going to come from here Because if it's a 48 trillion and you're collecting domestically 25, that means half of the budget is going to be contributed to by Ugandans. But you see, where are you going to borrow and invest that money? If you're going to invest it in projects that are going to steal money and are inappropriate, and you don't have accountability in public investment, but let me qualify my point. So, Sam, tomorrow, if you're going to read a budget which is as heavy as that, people expect. But of course, you're passing that budget when inflations have doubled. Remember, it is your macroeconomic stability objective. Keep inflation stable and low, invest in productive sectors, have public investment and accountability, and then move up the population. Oli kuja mu economy where inflation is 7, I'm after tiga kagulika, fuel is 7,000 or 6, whatever. So you're passing such a budget. So what do you need from people to listen to you? You need one thing. Your money will be properly allocated and it will deliver value. Because for us, in a business perspective, you can't borrow to invest in an area where you're going to make a loss. But we are looking at the entire budget. How bad will it be if you're crowding out private sector? Dr. Sam, in his dental surgery point, is not going to borrow to bring a very good sophisticated machine because the government has borrowed all the money from the banks.
Explain that more. Dr. Alishi Nunuranga litisa abantu. Okuvuga nende nokuleta example abande bategeera.
Yes.
We muba ku mulimu.
Okwebutewola.
Government okwewola. N'abantu babulidde okwewola. Kyeki gy'olemesa omuntu wa buliddo okwewola kubanga ne government eri kwewola.
Because the government is not an investor in this country. This country is a private sector-led economy. People who do business in this country are the individuals. Where do they get money? They borrow that money from commercial banks. Where you are having a computer called government borrowing 12 trillion. And you see the combined banking portfolios, like the revenues in all banks, if you collect, they may not even be 30 trillions. Could owe 20. So if you're borrowing 12, you've set a precedent, you borrow 12. So even the lenders, commercial banks are confident that they are going to, you're almost borrowing 50% of the entire banking portfolios in terms of... You see, yes, because the banks don't even create money. They are depositors' money. Banks don't have money. Banks get money from me and doctor who deposit there and we save our money. They are the ones that they are going to pick and give government. And that's why government keeps on giving its interest rates. So to just bring the point in conclusion. So if you lend government, which is not investing directly into business, Sam, who is an entrepreneur in Busoga and Mukono, is going to go to the bank, money will be there, basically. Very expensive to borrow. You're going to borrow at 27% from Centenary Bank, sorry to use an example, or any other bank, or Stanbic Bank or what. So they are going to put that money very high because they already have a client called government who is taking a big chunk and they will pay.
But this is not a space.
Not because even they are not sure that doctor will pay. Because
Later simanya ekibanja.
Exactly.
Later kino.
Later
kwenda kulemesa iwe kwewola.
Ideally, precisely kitegeeza nti if your government and you are saying this is a private sector led economy, leave the money in commercial banks to be borrowed by people who are investing in productive sectors that create jobs.
Is that possible?
Because it is very possible. Look for other ways of mobilizing revenue than, you can borrow abroad.
Cut on expenditure.
Yes, borrow abroad or cut expenditure and leave the money. You know, some also an additional, like I teach entrepreneurship. You know, and one of the challenges that is scoring high is limited access to financing. So even if financing is there, it's not affordable. Banks are lending at a very exorbitant interest rate, and you're saying we are keeping inflation in single digits when interest rates double digits. Chitekola makulu gama inflation ya 6%, na banks ogenda yo kwewola wewola ku buli 10 chozayo kitegeeza osasulako enusu 2 mwezi munya. So chatuli kugamba tomorrow when they read the budget but we are projecting the next years reduce on the domestic borrowing. It's okay, go and borrow abroad so that leave the money here to be cheap. This man Sam Mwesigwa is going to borrow in a bank where government has borrowed and is going to compete in the field with a Chinese investor, Ayavude China, where banks in China lend at 0%. Interest rates from Japan, 0% -. And those are Japanese investors that are in the same field They're having money which is not taxed, which is not having high interest rates, vis-a-vis Dr. Chironde, who has borrowed money from Bank of Uganda at 25% to invest in the same field. So that's where it doesn't make economic sense. So banks are not going to lend this money. If they lend, money is going to be expensive too. If he goes, picks the money, goes to the field, he's going to toss out with an investor who has borrowed from wherever he's coming from cheaply. And that one doesn't give a leveled ground. So this man is going to be having what we call high cost of doing business, because Nelson just say wabei, amasanya ze gabei and everything. So yeah, so tulina kitongole cha private sector foundation in Uganda. Kitwala bano ba doctor abakolera emirimu jawe egy'obwa nanyini. Invest in that. Invest mu bantu ababulijjo by letting banks lend them money.
Okay.
So
Sam.
Yeah.
Omwami bw'aba aleese ebijanjaalo
ewaka,
aleese ennyama, aleese enkoko n'ebyenda, ate omukyala talina bimufumbira byonna on the single day because baaba byonna abyagala. Our biggest problem is we are spending too much, and how can we cut on our expenditure? For example, tugende mu Busoga wano. How many members of parliament really but abateesa?
otandise ku parliament?
Abateesa. Nze I'm finding a solution. Busoga eno ogiraba? Oyina ba members of parliament balinga bameka?
Tuli 30 something closing to 40.
Of course, buli district mu Busoga inayo member wa parliament omukyala achika direct. Kati buli constituencies then ezibera n'ababaka. We have
Busoga eno bwebeera ne ba members of parliament bataano. Olowooza tebayinza ku articulating issues za Busoga very well.
Lwaki olonzeeyo Busoga?
No, I'm on the audience.
Because we are tuli bubi ino nga Abasoga. Poverty index eraga tuli baavu, and it is the fact.
Uganda ku sente ze tufuna. If we really need members of parliament, we shouldn't exceed 50.
Wonna.
We shouldn't exceed 50. Tubadde waliwo platform gye tubadde tukayanirako with somebody ayabadde akifudde omuze oguvuma Amin. Amin had governors, and here we had 4 provinces. See, there were just 4 governors. But look at the stupid amount of RDCs Simanya wakina presidential work.
Why should I be stupid?
I stand my words because.
But they are leaders.
Whatever. Now, because in their add-on the plight of our people, nga sente zibateekwamu, and they are doing nothing.
RDC afuna omusala gwa sente mmeka omwezi?
Tobala RDC yekka. Tandikira ku numbers of members of parliament who are burdening this country. The RDCs, we are talking about governance. Governance involves a lot of number of people, who are given posts. They just eat, drink, steal, and take away from the economy, and their money is put there every time. Yeah. Look at the bases. Among yafunye base ya 1 point, how many billions?
2.5.
2.5 billion. But do you know what 2.5 billion can change the lives of certain Ugandans?
Simba wakati. I'm the one who knows what that can change the lives of people. Kampumule mukatun. Once again, I want to welcome you back in our show. Neno program The Platform. Nize Samu Mwesigwa. Nenda kusima iwa ali kutugoberera. Ndijasa producer. Ntera nga onambe ni ya WhatsApp. Mama iseo niwa ninzo obutabana kasira kafuna masimu. But iwe aliyeyo. Ebisere bisinga this national events we dibadiriwo. President alikola State of the Nation address. Onomati akaseja alisoma budget. But then okwogera figures bayogera fiscal policy, bayogera governance and what percentages, bayogera debt burden. omuntu atuuka n'okyusa lweddi ati ye birala ebyo nebiri buli wamu. Are you really hear you? Naye nditambule mu kyalo wojja ku TV Museveni mbakogera wojja ku radio ye birala ebyo nebiri wazza wali kukunemba tuwuliseekwe nga it's not that nti omuntu ebyo byabali kwogera tibimugemaako aye nga tali bitegeera aye ate nga sirina engeri yesiri gy'okukosaamu nti life ejyamaliriza nga either egonze oba life ekalwibe nti saawa eno kyetwayogera nga twakoba nti amafuta gali kuniina. Some people abaali bazira motoka makoba ebyo byabamwesigwa aba bavuga emmotoka abo n'abaidde okafiira but now oyagananga buli kimu what goes around comes around. Dr. Tubeire mbaye ndi kusala kati memali tuje mukuumula ng'oli kukoba nti the expenditure
eyina kuva ku ggwe omuntu wa wansi jukira 25 trillion revenue egenda zijjamu. Now kyobolangama bannayuganda nga tonnakwata ssente kanzirire ddala ku oli owa parish simanya model development simanya gavumenti egenda kuwa ssente bwemala okuwa ssente.
Beda Dr. nawe ebintu ebyo biyingiremu bakwesente za parish development model
ati kati nkunnyonnyola lwaki nze sisobola kiyingiramu. Gavumenti ejja kujja empesente za parish development model bwemala okujja ate nze nina okusasula because governance 7 trillion ezaba members of parliament ba RDC presidential advisors abatalina abatuula obutuuzi abanyumya emboozi abakola ki because Uganda does not need 100 presidential advisors for God's sake. We are spending too much on certain people until we cut our budget. Bino bye batuteekamu batuwuddisa because bajja kuwola ssente za parish development model otandika okuweldinga city council URA bakutunuulire bazikusabe.
But it is their mandate okusoloza omusolo. Doctor, abantu bano you had it in the first hour. You are a KCCA and those municipal councils and those authorities tebagenda asoloza omusolo kuno because the budget is big.
Now,
it has been like
in compliance that. In taxes, the tax must be favorable.
Some of the principles of tax.
Ikisoka, the tax must be favorable. Now, the taxes are not favorable. Bagenda ne batuuka mukaduuka bwe kati mukaduuka bwe kati nebagamba twagala $3 million. Ddala ddala owakaduuka oyo alina ability esasula $3 million z'obagambye.
Just for information, Doctor, I have been with URA for very quite long. Omusolo gw'ogamba nti tax is not favorable mu sseefaana bwerityo bannayuganda babagamba keep records report what you said and what URA erina engeri y'ekikola if you take long toyanjula bo bakola self assessment so sigamba nti buli wamu bagenda gwesasula zino tulina bannayuganda URA on paper record it has 10 million Ugandan potential taxpayers. There are only 2 million paying. It means banji tebasasula so sigamba nti URA bwetu bwekikola.
Now business I know what takes place. Business eyo girabanga ennyangu naye si nnyangu ovala amafuta govuddeeka n'otuuka ku mulimu n'omala n'emmere gy'olya n'obala amasannyalaze okiwulidde. Some of these things omuntu agenda n'abiraba ye najja n'abala ebitabo n'alaba nti abaze nnyo okiwulidde. But do you put your transport costs in every business?
Then it's your fault. You're the business owner.
Normally, n'omukozi wo oziteekamu transport costs.
The expenditures. Now, our business ekuleme kubanga
Uganda y'emu ku nsi ezisinga okusasula obubi abakozi baayo. Tunuulira kebera regional level. Ffe tusinga okusasula obubi lwaki ssente teziriiwo. Sente in business teziriiwo because the government is borrowing.
Ozeyokusha government.
Byennabe amasanyaze gali high. Namafuta gali high. Businesses are not making money. Ate ffe tulina okusasula URA. The cost of business in Uganda is just too high compared to our neighbors.
Nganva gy'oli kambuuze. URA is meant to collect 25 trillions. Do you think it will be realistic for them? Will they hit that target according to...
I trust URA.
Why?
Hit it. I trust URA. I repeat, I trust URA. They will get it. They will get it.
Kubanga bannayuganda bali compliant okusasula omusolo oba kubanga bali bamanyi okikola?
We have one of the most ruthless tax collecting regimes in Africa. We are ruthless. Uganda, Europe, URA will get it. Ekyo kyo nkiri sure izo bajja zifuna.
So tubeere comfortable nti 25 zo weziri.
Naye ne businesses that 25 trillion wezinaava zijja balekanga muli bakalu.
Bone.
Yes, Sam.
Governance. Human development
human capital development.
Nebisinze topinga. Kwebyo kiriwo ekiyamba ensi okulankulana.
Thank you, Sam. Ekisinze kutopinga actually it's going to be debt repayment. This is a pre-budget analysis, Sam. But of course, the sneak peek of what is in the budget, we are going to pay more money to pay the debt. Then we start on more sector allocation, yes, governance and legislation, security and peace. What I don't know how they call it, but security will also take. Are you aware they are going to also take 7 trillion? Security and okukuma and which is okay. I don't know whether it's okay, but so. When you look at those sectors, do they lead to production, productivity, growth and development? Well, yes, they have, of course, a multiplier effect to all. But Dr. Kyagambye, abantu nkyanga bawuliriza budget bagenda kubuuza ekintu eki. Omusolo bagwongeddewa. And budget is not going to be all about taxes. That's what we want to tell the people. Abali kutubona. Aye no kutegeera kati bajagusoloza. I know what we were taking excise duty. I think on beer is going to have. I saw fuel is not going to have any reduction in taxes.
President, I name Sola Dia consenting. There are like 4 areas. I'll check here.
Yeah. So at some when Doctor, those I know Burumi, and you don't. When you say a ruthless tax authority, you have already overburdened taxpayers that are going again to pay other taxes on them. You see, that's the issue. But the 25 trillion, I'm also okay. They will, because this is the second budget after the pandemic, because we passed the last year's budget when we were in a crisis. And you just told me that they partially hit the target. I don't know whether they hit it, but I think they hit. They had 22 trillion. They had collected 7.
So 20 something. They have so far collected 19.
You see, so that's a good performance as far as Ugandans are concerned. But now, when you look at sectors, energy, let's look at, just like Doctor say, where do we want to go? Are they going to bring back money to develop our country, to do a social service, because it's the mandate of government? So if you're investing in, and I have no problem with whatever they are going to invest, what are we getting out? What's the return on that investment?
Now just look at governance. Governance, it is quite big.
Actually, it's governance and public administration.
Development it is decided in governance.
I think.
And security, can't we cut on governance and security?
Development is all development plans, every future is decided under governance.
Yeah, well,
how are we going to plan for something and like you want to plan for development? And you see, the planning process is not funded. What are you going to get?
Echiruma abantu nti they basindika babaka ba parliament on the floor of parliament nanga walikuwa mumpenje mbashikirire ngene mbashikirire mumpo obululu. But of course when you see allocating, parliament is one which allocates budget. Counting officers of all MDAs, ministries, departments and government agencies declare budget statements. You are rather parliament this one no, this one no. What's paining people? Ghana, I saw parliamentarians consenting that it's true. They have allocated themselves 193 billion in a crisis like this. So, and that is in governance, what you're talking.
Increment
on their allowances. Sam, do we need it anyway?
They say the cost of living is high.
How about yours? Who they represent?
For them, they see it.
Where do they get their money that makes them in parliament? Isn't you paying the 18% on VAT of everything that you pay? Or pay as you earn on your salary? You see some, now when you, well, they also pay taxes. And I remember there was even a proposal that parliament didn't want to pay taxes. And you how many? 529 parliamentarians. So we don't need this expenditure on public administration and governance, which is very, very high and competing with productive sectors in the economy. Look at how much they are going to give tourism. Tourism is not even 1.5 trillion. Are you aware? But tourism, no marketing NC, come bring tourists, look at gorillas, look at mountains, look at Nile Falls, River Nile, and they pay us money and source of them. They pay dollars to the treasury. So you're not marketing for it, you've not invested in human capital and skills development for the tour operators, you're not regulating well, you're not making infrastructure, mutua areas like Chidepo, you're not making roads, you're not making infrastructure, you're not assuring the tourists that when you come, you'll definitely get the best. But you're now investing on an MP who is already okay.
Bona, understand this, Bona and Doctor. And I'm not a member of the parliament. I don't sit on the budget committee. But sometimes I read between lines and understand this. And references have been made. As I was giving you about agriculture,
now let me tell you,
some sectors are interconnected to other sectors where money is put. You are talking about roads, you are talking about, but infrastructure, money is put there.
Which is okay.
So it will benefit the tourism if you are talking about road network.
No, but
security is put money, security, so the security tourism will be beefed up.
No, which is okay. But you see, when you look at a program-based budgeting, let's go down now to where tourism is operating. Making a road that goes to Kamuli is okay, or in Intinda, or what? What we are talking about areas Edikola Sente. You know that the biggest forex earner of this economy is tourism? Because it's one of the things that we export. Because when they pay, that means they pay forex. But you see, if you're not, the other time the president was saying we shall hit hard our dollar reserve in case we reduce taxes on imports like fuel, which we bring in and we pay in dollars, we shall be reducing. But then invest in tourism, then invest in export promotions and what, so that you get more forex and you don't hit your economy bad. But my point on governance and public administration and expenditure on things that don't produce for the economy. Dr. Tirimo Sanofu.
Governance, abantu abali mu governance balinga 10 oba mutwalo, let's say bali mutwalo nga ba member of parliament, ba RDCs, blah blah blah, babatademu bagenda kutwala 7 trillion. Naye banna Uganda, the other 40 million ennimi ezikola ki zigina 1.2 trillion. Obo buli azamanya.
Probably, yes.
Ate baba members of parliament sibanenya, because boba comparing to other members of parliament around East Africa, they are getting little money. But in abawan bafuna sente entono. Era bwe bakayana nti bafuna sente entono. But the other issue is population. Abantu babulijjo bali driven azika asuka member of parliament. Abasajja abalina ebizibu school fees zibuze bango bye muzigo bana Uganda bagenda. Now But members of parliament, ababadde bwe parliament yaffe bwe mjuwa aba members of parliament atano nemba doublinga sente on East African level bajja kuba bayongedde. 2 constituencies ziba zigeze. So wananchi okubatuukirira personally kijja kaluba. 2 omuntu okujja n'agasawo g'essente agule constituency ennene kijja kweyongera okukaluba. Okiwulidde? Now, so governance fe tu accepting governance okututuulira. Bannayuganda bwe balikeera ne bagamba we've had enough of the burden of governance. Bajja kiyiwa.
Waliwo ne kendabyo kali nti n'engeri abaka ba parliament gye bajjamu mu parliament because constituency like they are like villages.
Yes.
It is even easier for them to manipulate the minds of the voters with the 200 and 100 millions. But if the constituency is big,
you see,
somebody will not buy
there is a hidden agenda. Oli asooka n'agamba public management bill, management law. Ne bagaana omuntu okuba rally.
Public Management
Act. Oli ne bamugana okuba rally. So that means abantu abayina obwongo effectively oli aba abajjemu. Abalese abantu abayina sente again of distributing a sente ayingire mu parliament. So chovolaba the result of the public management bill ekulaga abantu kiki bakola mu parliament. As years are going by, we are seeing more educated but less astute politicians in parliament. Kidem abaana kati abayingira mu parliament balina ebitabo byabwe
basoma.
Naye batuuka ku floor, you'll be shocked by what they do. Because the system that brings them in favoring exchange of ideas. So when you effectively kick off the exchange of ideas, the budget abasajja bajja bireeta omwana alina masters nga naye tabitegeera.
Really?
I know I've employed people with their masters, I know.
Nga tebalina kye bategeera.
I know, and you know, I don't fear even saying it. Omwana baali bamuyita Kathy Nanchinga yalina masters in business administration. Yajja n'amanaging my clinic in 2009. Niyenga putting a files mu alphabet kimukaluubiriza.
Naye nga alina masters.
Nga masters. She had her masters, Kathy. But she wouldn't put, the files wouldn't be put in alphabet. So, abana abangi nnyo bagenda masomero ne masters nenga their interpretation of principles teziriiwo.
So
nchendi kwenda okuzaziyo njeme njempo mulemuko. If the challenge is expenditure, luxury, governance, and we want to cut it, and the beneficiaries of the current state are the one to cut it, shall it be possible?
It will be possible, but some, me on the show, Doctor, thank you for your views, Nisam, and Nabali Kutubona. Let's pay justice to the contributions of the Auditor General's report every year. If you are going to allocate money and it's again swindled in corruptive or in corruption tendencies in this country, it is going to create an ambience where we make useless policies that don't add anything to the country. So let's allocate, but where is the money going? Who is responsible to give accountability? Some people don't listen to how money was spent. Because we are here debating about such things, but also we should pay. We are just romancing the symptoms of this. So let's now go. You see, Uganda is ranked high. Of course, even National Household Survey I saw, our corruption index we are doing very well worldwide nifo tukasinze kuiba sente oba kuba bakumpanya and that's what national doing. I mean, because that's the best way the records are showing us. In economy, we are badly off. In production, we are badly off. But in corruption, we are okay. Stealing money that we've even just borrowed. So some cutting governance, let it be an issue, but also enforcing and restoring public trust in government institutions by seeing that. Thank you so much, the president. He has put initiatives. I hear anti-corruption unit. What's their report and how is it effected? Are people reprimanded? Are people giving? And they should just stop talking to people who have just eaten money and they just, babysit them. Let them bring back the money. There should be two things actually that I need justice also to reform. Someone has been found guilty that he has stolen billions of money that was supposed to build a certain hospital. Instead of going to Luzira and we spend money on that very individual, let him first pay us the money, then he goes to serve the sentence. Because you are going to go to Luzira, we spent 7 years feeding you, treating you, but again you took all the money, we can't find it. So in accountability and corruption, first refund us the money or we sell everything and we do this. But Sam, if you want to invest in people, that's not what we do. There is a country called Qatar. It's going to host this year's in November World Cup. How did Qatar develop? Qatar bageme sente dondone dava mafuta, they put it in the Bank of Uganda of Qatar. Babala abantu abali mu Qatar. The president ordered, because for them they are in a way of those leaders that are not elected. They are in a monarchical sort of thing. Let Bank of Uganda of Qatar give equally the money that we've sold from fuel from Qatar. You see, there is no way you can allocate yourself money when other people are bleeding. That's what we want. We want a national service. Some you're doing a national service. Doctor, what is doing is a national service. What I do is a national service. It is very bad. For this budget that is coming, let's pay justice to the sector that have gotten money, and whoever is going to receive money in such sectors, allocate the money appropriately, give accountability that is on ground, not on paper, then come and tell us where you need more. People will be happy to pay taxes.
Okay, people will be happy to pay taxes. Nine ekintu kyenebuuza buli lunaku era nja kunoonyako musumba wange Pastor Ngobi Moses ankubire ku really omuntu omala ebbanga ng'oyiba ngera abantu bakwidde nti oli mwibi otuuka akaseera obwibi bwakuwoomera n'abantu abaidde nti oli mwibi batandika okulowooza nti tokayiba weerabire watoola ekintu ky'omuntu. We've talked about corruption. IGG yakuba nti tufiirwa a half our budget every year corruption. Yafulumya ripoti eyindi nti tulina abantu oba areas 10 edijamu esente dampa musolo. You can't name and you can't count what you don't know. If you count what you know, why don't you expose them? Ndikuira otavao. Nenda kwebaza iwe akatwekumireko. This is our last part ya program on the platform. Ona kuluno olwalero ninze Samu Mwesigwa omwanduzi owa program eno. Every single Monday okuva essaawa 4 paka essaawa 6 gw'obwire, ate okuva ku Lwabalaza paka ku Lwokuna tubaawo. Olunaku Olwokubiri muganda wange Adam Kungu n'abaawo. Olunaku Olwokusatu Haji Nudini Ntege, ate ng'olunaku Olwokuna Matov Junior n'abaawo. Namba eyo eri ku screen otagikubaku. Weereza obaka ku WhatsApp. Woweereza toweereza maloboozi. Weereza text. Mudakiika 10 ndakuwaayo kw'abandi kw'abo banaakuba amasimu aga direct. Nsonga y'ebyenfuna bya Uganda nnene ino titusobola kubatengera tugimala ssaawa eno. But tudatandikira awo olwaido n'olunaku olundi wetubanga abantu betuwa alternative solutions bawulira bye twogera. Oidi kyandawulo okwogera, kyandawulo okwogera muntu yawulira oba yategeera. Doctor, Uganda tulina wamu n'ono gwewola oba kiri nti buli tusoma budget tulina okwewola ku sente? Because the worry is tutandika osasula esente nga n'esente tutandika osasula interest nga n'esente tukaali bikozesa. Is it nti buli wanga lirina okwewola ku sente nga kusoma budget.
Ate ekya Uganda kiri waasi. Kumanya ekya Uganda kibi nnyo. Kasajja yakugambye eki nti waliwo abasobola ababba ssente nga talina kyasobola bakolera. Ekitegeeza budget oyinza n'okusanga nga 30 to 40% or 50% is simply stolen.
Naye baani abo nziziga president twali ne president ekololo ye gwali mukolo ki yali ku mukolo gwa kusiibula Mutebire n'agamba waliwo abantu bemmanyi ababba ssente mbamanyi but I'm still gathering information. Nejuzi wano yakyogeddeko.
Kati omanyi owulirizanga nnyo abantu oluusi obutu bubeera fane ngenda kukwotingira abantu babiri. Omuntu asooka bamuyita Isma. He's a clown. Yalina ka video ke yafulumye. Ate muntu wa yero nnyo. He's a blogger. Yagani. Nze Pineti namutegedde. N'ajalagayo eri Kaguta Museveni. Tiye engeri gye yakyanasanizeemu nti president yekwese emabega w'omukazi omuzungu yakola byayagala okukola. Then nenjoka extrapolating ekyedda. Omuzeeyi Boniface Byanyima yasituka lumu n'agamba Boniface Byanyima contributed mu kukula kwa president. Yagamba nti omuntu oyo is a pathological liar and a perennial thief. Oli yamukuza. Now, njagala mutegeere nti ekizibu kyaffe ekisinga okuba ekikulu wano mu Uganda nti personalization. Uganda neetambuzibwa ng'amaka.
Ate gati
Aga amafuta gange. Nze nalwana. Nze nabonaabona. Abaana bange kabeeyagale. That statement alone in Europe can lead somebody to live. Nze nalwana, nabonaabona, oba ndi mugagga, it is okay. Nakikola kitobera. Now, the country has been personalized. Nti kati ya muntu. Mama asobola okubeera Minister of Education kati ni mutabani asobola okusaba obwa president. Uganda is a personal property.
According to you?
No. Bina amaaso naye tebiraba. Bina amatu naye tegawulira. Omuntu bw'atuukira okugamba nti agamba mafuta gange. What is he saying? So in corruption, Matia Kasajja akugamba nti omuntu sisobola kubaako kye mukola because most likely omuntu oyo atutte ssente is an appointing authority. Matia Kasajja talina kyamaanyi, he's desperate. Nsemu pushing it to the wall. Emugamba Matia Kasajja do something. Naye nagamba bannanga abantu mbamanyi naye sirina kyabakolera. Lwaki? He cannot touch the hands. He cannot touch the hand that feeds him.
Kagboni.
Yes.
If we are like legalizing corruption and we are babysitting
it is already legal in Uganda.
And even we know what we lose. Nti omwibi wakwiba ekintu ng'akaali kitunda hajaja atyame wakaawe taidisha sente imeka iwe mwene kintu ojaja ku police aide mubalirire era eva ku TV tukobe nti ebintu ebyibibwa bibaliribwa mu bukale 12 omwibi abeera sigeze ne ebintu bya bukale 12 wembitundo obukaire 10 mbatikoze loss. Nti at this level what we lose and we know who takes it.
Yeah.
Do we still need to take it as simple nti mumbaye ya tulikola nti mumbaye tulita amusente daga hivi rasta tuditolamu?
I think didimu dijaba mwera didaba opaka as long as there is no political will to fight corruption.
Yes.
So if the will comes, that's when we shall see by MPs by legislating. I don't know it beats my understanding where someone doesn't even think corruption is bad to bring a private member's bill to say, Madam Speaker, this is a new bill on corruption. When you are found guilty, you are going to be taken in this way and pay. I don't know. They are just things that they just talk about but don't. So once there is a political will, we shall definitely do that. But to Katona, to what Dr. Chomo was, budgets, yes, we are not the only country to do budgets and to borrow. Borrowing is not bad. We are borrowing to do what? If we are borrowing to invest in sectors, it's bad. Ekintu kya corruption kyombuuziza kitiwe kirina okugemebwa Abannayuganda baniige bulungi. You're making a budget, you're saying domestic revenue, you're collecting it from taxes, you're borrowing, which you're going to use taxes to repay, domestically and externally. Then you also have grants and donations that have been given to you. That's how you finance your budget. Some not, because the government did what the government is innocent. Government revolving fund are going to be only 3 billion. Meaning, if this financial year, if we detect any corruption issue next year, that money will be stolen either from our taxes that we brought, or from the money that we've borrowed, or from the donations that have given us. So this is how tough we should be. Ahead of the budget and whatever, every joke we down. They are not government fund. They are sent for the nationals that they should be guarded jealously and guarded with that kind of iron arm. That's what I wanted to say. So because bolingira government wetola sente editola mu ife ya deola nga ife era nifo tujoko debt service ngeje tujokola ni fe sente zivude wafe okola chi okusasula nizibatuwadde as donations. So if you're talking about corruption, don't talk about it like anything castas our government. No, we are paying the money later. They are just giving us donations. We've borrowed and we've paid taxes. So
banga bali kulumbe nga tufirirwa basonde sente dokusondera mukayibawo owundi kabiri yamala ya diba batubere tusonde sente da kuyamba kumufu.
That is it. Basically you can put it like that. So but you see another thing to clear the way to balance the boat is that our debt in the next 2 financial years, I'm not a prophet of doom, is going to be unsustainable debt.
Currently we are at 73
billion US dollars.
It's already unsustainable.
You get? And that means we are almost hitting the threshold by IMF and World Bank to be declared a country that can no longer borrow, just like a country called... Do you know that country? There is a country that was just told that you should no longer borrow again. I need to... Is it Kazakhstan? Not Kazakhstan. If it's not, it's Venezuela or some other country there. But we shall... I'll get it and then tell you. So when you reach there, meaning you are having a debt which is too huge, bigger than your GDP.
Okay.
So if the GDP, if the debt GDP ratio erija mu 58%, that means you're hitting the dead end.
Producer Anterawo number dangeda studio iwe aliyeyo. Sobola okuba ate nga oteesaako ninze. Namba eyo eri kumpewo otagikubbako. Producer mpa namba da studio. Ndikwenda afunaku abantu bange abali eyo. Sobola okuba nga kansooke nkuwa message eno. Ono bamweta Silver Kanyanya. Uganda nsi nnungi naye abantu abamu bagitulemesa. This is the country where I find soap more expensive than the Benson. Kale, thank you. Okay. Mbwa sabuni asinga bafu ebeyi. Good evening, Mr. Presenter. It is Jeremiah Mumbere of Kasese. Doctor is right 100% in the Uganda. Government doesn't need more than 50 advisors. For what? Uganda no Remwa. Thanks for the show. Good evening, Mwesgwa and your team in the studio. I'm Michael Goja Nsereko, watching from Omugo refugee camp in Terego. My appreciation goes to Doctor for his physical example to allow a local nation to understand what is going on. But let me request economist Bonnet to consider what is teaching not also behave like our permanent secretary, Minister of Finance, who used to tell us that economics that work and hate accountability with no results. But after his resignation, okay. Message. Uganda's problem is not money, but the problem is extravagance in spending. Okay, wetoteire kulina. Kale otaweereza audio onaweereza amaloboozi tiridda kuba ate nga wulirisa weereza text weereza wandiika buwandiike ndasobola okuba ate nga nkufuna. Doctor, olina kubeera oli kumaliriza nakaawa.
Now angamba abo abali corrupt, the mafias, president yenna agenda okuddako agenda kubeera nga atali Yoweri Kaguta Museveni prime gundi in most cases ne bw'anaabeera mutabani we Muhoozi agenda kuba
wamulabyemudde obusobozi.
Tugenda kalabira akalulu eyo mu movement because nange nzija now
what president.
Yes, now bw'abeera candidate are represented by movement pushed by Yoweri Kaguta Museveni agenda protecting Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. This is my message to the mafias. Waliwo etteeka erya treason omusolukwe mu Uganda omuntu treasonable act ebeera ki?
Okola ekintu nga
no ofuna ki
ekibonerezo
sikyakubeera luzira for some time. Now mwe bamafia, a treasonable act may include failure not to meet what you're supposed to do to your constituents. It is treasonable. Kati nga Matiya Kasaija osobola okumutwala n'omuteeka mu kkooti bulungi for a treasonable act nti yamanya ba mafia n'atasobola boogera n'agenda eruzira for treason for such a long time. Zino amateeka gano ge munseetinga omuntu omugezi asobola okugakyusa bulungi nnyo n'akuteekayo mu sseero. Now I am telling the mafias, any bright person who will lead this country is going to take you to Ruzira for treason.
Banaba chalu.
Basobola bajja kufunibwa yonna gye libali n'omusango ne gunaba experte. Omuntu ye ngadduse basobola okumunoonyaayo eyo gyali. So in whatever you do, consider one time that omukulembeze w'eggwanga agenda kukyuka kisangwe musajja omugezi ngamba gwe Matiya Kasaija ne ba mafias, especially the permanent secretaries. The permanent secretaries.
The mafia?
Aba spending. I mean, they are the spending good.
Okay.
The permanent secretaries, they are spending. The mafias, bali mapega wa permanent secretaries. So ngamba gwe when you take up that permanent secretary portfolio, kimanye nti once upon a time omuntu asobola okuteeka mu kooti for a treasonable act nti waliamu ensi yo olukwe no spending however much ensi ye n'ogituusa bw'ogituusiza n'akuteeka ebuzira.
Okay, to Uganda is interesting and you observe very well his speech and take a look at the budget dynamics, bro. This is Muyomba and Uganda's problem is not money. Julius Kampala. Bonnie.
Yes, sir.
Above all, n'ekibisibako ekirungi. Do you see any opportunities kumuna Uganda mu budget eno?
Okay. Webale Sam. What I can say, Sam, kituufu, budget eno eyencho, it's a good budget for the country.
Because it's big.
Not only it's big, but when you look at what they are going to spend on, what we want is confidence in the allocations and investment with accountability that is visible. So omuna Uganda alijja okubona budget yeno baligisoma. One, I just urge you to do one thing. Pay attention to wawe tulitola sente edijja okufinancing a budget eyembalira gye balijja okusoma. Tujatola mu misolo bajja kwewola bajja tuwaayo ku sente era deni or paying attention oba ulirisa ino wawe balijja okusaasanya sente edo. So some it's a big good budget, that's what I can say, kubanga ebyalo bijafuna sente mu parish development model. Aye bwe banabibwa sente, do the people have even market? Because give people money, invest in them. If they are going to produce like remember Dr. Bano, are they going to have money more population? So this budget can be implemented if also there is a political will, because we shall see supplementaries by the Wabana Uganda. After the 48, the government will come with the midterm supplementary. We don't want to talk about them here for now, but they are saying the presidential what needs this and this and this and be on alert. So we are most likely to have a 50.4 trillion budget. More 2 trillion may come as a result of supplementary. But this is an opportunity to allude government and also emphasize this. Those ones in charge, please, abantu bano abali wansi bembe mukolere. Parliament not being spared because you're 500 plus legislating abantu. If you get budget proposals mudiringemu de na abantu deyamba obabe tax regimes de muri kubaga ediyambako ditwala omuna Uganda wa sasula omusolo. Is it going to get a national social service? Basically that is it. Sure. Otherwise we are looking forward to the budget tomorrow to divide mu bingi no, but we believe tulina isubi twidabonanga obolyawo ebintu bisobola otambula twakava mu recovery. I was looking at the theme for the budget. They are talking about agro-industrialization, recovery, and then investing in productive sectors. Ndowooza ekyo kinayambaku okuva mu mbeera gye tubairemu.
Thank you.
Yep.
Doctor, ng'osiibula.
Nasiibula ngamba abantu ba movement nti najoininze movement, navudde mu DP yange. Is a movement.
Doing movement.
Tries some movement njagala kukyusa nze opposition political parties are actually working for the state. So tekingasa akuwogganira ero nga sina kyenja kukyusa. So ngenda gena movement nayingidde movement ngenda contesting kuba president of Uganda no.
Kyejakolese
bingi kukyusa ku byeno byenjogedde. Because outside the movement tojja kubaako kyokola. So at opposition politics Uganda has become a clown.
Antogenda ita mukamyufu.
Tujja kulaba ffe tugende naye nze nkugamba nzija kucontestinga for president sifayo candidate gwe nasangayo naye nze nzija abantu ba movement tukyuse ekintu ngabe bitunyiga fena. Some people, the mafias, have taken over the country. So mwe abali movement misituke tuje to contesting tulabe kye tukola.
Nakafuna buti abantu babiri Dr. Robert Sidonde yegeise ku Honorable Livingstone Zijani omubaka wa parliament wa Butembe ku Saturday yankoba yena alikwida kubwa president mwaka 2026. Nze nkaali kuvaayo era titijja kuvaayo saawa eno ndijja kuba ate nga mpayani bano basobola okutuleetera ebiduubo ebirungi nena bakakuba ku namba eyo akaire kaba katono tusobola kuba ate nga tweyongerayo ino ndijja simbyayo message eno. Good evening Mr. Mwesigwa and Michael Minyonyo. I thank Doctor for appreciating the good job done by Idi Amin in his governance by having only 4 provinces in a very Uganda, where currently we have almost 400 MPs. Abampeereza obakamwebale tusobola kuba ate nga mbafuna abandi muli kunkubiranga wano olunaku olwaido tujja kuba ate nga tubaawo. I personally ndijja kubaawo okwongera okutemera ebinaaba byogeirwa ekyojo osula nation kino nti ng'okaali tegeera bindi byonna byonna ebintu ebitandikibwa ku ssaawa eno byongaire okuniina aye nendakoba abantu bonna balina amaduuka mutagufuula mugano mwena okwongera okunigayina abantu nti ku kyalo bwe kubaako omwibi oba balibinga omwibi kabiri weno oyongera okwiba ekintu kyamwina ali kubinga omwibi mwamaliriza nga mubali kubinga ab'ebimona mulimu abaibi. Let us be passionate tusobola okuba ate nga tuyambagana. Philip Bamuteze ni producer wange okwote ni team yonna gye nkoze na mu control. Ninze Samuel Omwesigwa lata isa shabazinga babusoga William Wilberforce Kadomula Gabula na Diopo okuna fumvu ebyanda n'ebyanda. Bye bye for now.